You're a former Miami Hurricanes quarterback. You've seen coaching changes happen around you before. When it comes to getting a new offense installed, what goes into that, and like what needs to happen? If a new coordinator is hired within the next couple of days, how much can be installed by the time spring practice starts on March 4th?
To me, the biggest thing with the spring, and it was one thing that Rick did a really good job of when he came in, is kind of setting like your core plays. Okay, so everyone should have core runs, core passes. To me, that's really what you want to set in the spring because a lot of times most people, like most offensive linemen, like I know when Georgia had Pittman and it's something they do at Arkansas a lot, like Pittman, his go-to run is inside zone. So if that is your OC's go-to run, and maybe that's even Mario's go-to run, then like the first week of install should be nothing but inside zone, maybe some quick game. Keep it real simple. And I know like I've been a big admin for it. Play fast. Like my biggest thing is I'd rather guys play fast, play with energy, and the playbook stay simple. And then you go from spring to summer, and then you add another layer. And you go from summer to fall, and then you add your third layer. But to me, I think it's someone that is smart enough to know that I can't implement my entire offense this spring because obviously they just went from Lashley to Gaddis, and now they're about to learn a whole new offense. So, having a coach that's mindful of that, to me, that's how you get the best out of your offense going into the spring. So that for the summertime, you can feel confident, they can feel confident. If you have someone that has a very complex playbook or, is trying to install too much, I think there's going to be a lot of young guys, and especially a lot of freshmen that, just learned Gaddis's offense. Or everything about guys like Tyler that had to learn, Lashley's, Gaddis, and now is trying to understand a whole new one. And to me, it's not even the plays. Most teams run the same plays. A lot of it's going to be the terminology. What do I call, whether it's double slants, do I call it razor? And this guy calls it slay. So I got to speak in his terminology. Most of the time, offensive coordinators don't speak in the terminology of the last OC. They're going to speak in in kind of what they know. So to me, I think that's going to be a huge aspect of it that, a lot of people aren't going to understand when you have, guys that aren't producing the way they want to at practices, because a lot of them are going to be thinking more than just reacting to kind of the play call because they're learning whole new plays. So to me, I think that's going to be a huge aspect of the spring.
That makes a lot of sense. This time of year when you're a few weeks away from spring football, I know guys are working out. The actual like physical contact with coaches, I'm sure, is limited right now. But like usually this time of year, like if you're a quarterback, how much are you usually like talking with coaches? And if you had an offensive coordinator right now, which Miami doesn't, how much communication would usually be taking place, a few weeks before the spring?
Yeah, so usually what happens is that for us, like we would get a script, so like it would be plays, but obviously the coaches can't be out there. But because we knew the plays, like when I had James Coley, had in my freshman even to my sophomore year, he just gave us the plays, and everyone kind of knew it because we were transitioning from year one to year two. To me, I think that's an interesting concept because when the guys after like we stood after our lift, we used to run 7-on-7. We used to even run like 11-on-11, where like obviously the D lineman wouldn't rush, but the offensive lineman they would pass set, get a couple run plays. We'd even do like some run plays. Maybe it's a toss, maybe it's simple inside zone, just kind of guys still moving like football players. To me, without an offensive coordinator, at least for the offensive side, you don't really know what to call. You know what I mean? Especially like I'm thinking about if I'm a freshman like Emory Williams or one of the freshman receivers, like we don't even know how to talk in the same language outside of me saying, hey, you got to run a slant. Hey, you got to run a comeback. You know what I mean? Like I can't signal him anything. I can't tell him a concept because we're not on the same page. What you called your offense last year, me as another quarterback or something, like I probably didn't call that the same play. So to me, I think those are some unique aspects because obviously, those guys are working. Those guys are, throwing, catching, doing all that kind of stuff. But for me, I think it's a very interesting concept or really an unfortunate concept for, a lot of these younger offensive guys that don't really know, what is the playbook, what is the terminology, which to me is a huge learning curve for any freshman that wants to play.